up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon coming to you from monsoon rainy Phoenix, Arizona. It's been a very, very active monsoon out here in Phoenix. For you Enrichers who have never been to Phoenix, you probably think, the desert. And like me, I was kind of sort of ignorant, born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, never even thought about, Phoenix. But then I was like, oh, that's the desert. I pictured the Sahara. So hopefully if any of you Enrichers are listening, get out here to Phoenix. It's not the Sahara. There's not a bunch of sand everywhere. But it has been a very active monsoon, and we need it, right? I mean, it's the desert for the reason, but it's been crazy. Lots of flooding going on out here. So anyway, joined today, as normal, is my spectacular, fantastic co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James. Timmy, how are you, my man?
Hey, dude, I'm doing awesome. Glad to be here. I think I'm completely settled in now in the new space, so just pretty happy to rock and roll and chat with our guest today, Connor, man. Yeah, that's awesome. So, hey, Enrichers, I got a chance to pre-interview Connor Lowery of Ron Blue advisory firm quite a while back, and I was very excited because he is very much in the sports world. And if you've been listening for any length of time at all, we tend to bring in sports on a regular basis in here, whether it be soccer or golf or baseball or whatever. But, whenever I got a chance to meet Connor, his story was really, really awesome, and I couldn't wait to be able to get him on here. So we are joined today from, I believe you're coming in from Tennessee. Is that right, Connor?
Nashville, Tennessee.
So home of the, what do you consider that?
Well,
Grand
it's Music City, home of the Grand Ole Opry, Titans, Predators, all of great things.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. More Titans actually. Football season. Can you believe it's already football season?
It could not get here soon enough.
Well,
it's always a bad day the moment the Super Bowl ends.
Well, it was crazy. So me and my wife went into our local watering hole here, and we're in there. We're hanging out with our friends, and there's a football game on it, and I'm like, wait a second, that's not recorded. That's actually happening. It seems to, like, once it's over, like it's gone forever. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, it's already back.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you for sure.
Awesome. Well, the Tennessee Titans, former Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans were actually my wife's favorite team for the longest time.
Good for her.
Steve McNair, she's got a Steve McNair jersey that she's had forever. And of course, like a lot of women, now she is an athlete, but she's like, I really like the colors. So you guys probably have a lot of fans like that.
I'll accept that. That's fine.
Awesome. Well, hey, Connor, we're really excited to hear about your backstory. So let's go ahead and jump on into it and get you peeling back the layers of the onion, if you will, on what was it, take us back to, whatever type of influences and what you think might have been the reason that sent you down the path of becoming a financial advisor, however far that might go back, and whether that's childhood or parents or, family members or whatever. So share with us, what brought you into the financial services business in the first place?
Yeah, it's a great question. And everybody seems to have their own unique story. And for me, as I think back, even when I was younger, and as I was always playing sports all season, in fact, like many kids would play 2 sports in a given season. Couldn't get enough of it. And I would say probably around middle school, I felt like I wanted to be a coach at some point. Football was my favorite sport. And I thought I'd be the idea of seeing people give their lives to God's kingdom, obviously in a very extreme circumstances, such as Haiti.
Yeah.
That was just very obvious to me. And I felt as I left there, God calling me to one day use an expertise for his kingdom. I didn't know what exactly that was going to be. I was heading off to college the next year, and I knew ahead of time that I was going to study both accounting and finance. So maybe that was going to be a controller or a CFO of a 501c3, some sort of ministry. Maybe that's what he was calling me to. So I go off to college, had the opportunity to play football at Stanford University, had a great experience, and was studying accounting and finance. And the time that I was coming out of college, there were not so many jobs in the financial world, but there were some really great jobs in accounting. And I took one with PricewaterhouseCoopers back here in Nashville. And so it got me back here around the time that Nashville was really starting to take off, which was fun to see. I worked there for a couple years, and after about the 2-year mark, I knew I wanted to transition out, and it was time to move into the financial industry, which I was more interested in. And as you guys know, there are countless niches in the financial industry, and I looked at a lot of them. Looked at investment only, looked at insurance, looked at private equity, looked at real estate development. I mean, it all was really exciting. And I was reminded of a man named Bruce Williams, who I graduated high school with his daughter, and he was actually my 5th and 6th grade Sunday school teacher. And I was reminded that he would come on career day at my high school to talk about finance. So I went and had lunch with him and was catching up on just kind of finding out what he does exactly. And he started telling me about Ronald Blue Trust. And Ron Blue exists to help Christians become financially free to take a greater part in the Great Commission. And what that means is we go into great detail of deep, comprehensive financial planning and helping clients figure out their financial world so that they can begin to define their purpose for that wealth. And so even though I was looking at a lot of really great opportunities and different niches of the financial industry, I was struck with a lot of emotion when I was exposed to what Ron Blue does missionally. And it was one of those things, and I need this. I need God to really just hit me in the head with what I need to do. And in this instance, it was automatic. All the other options were kind of off the table. I knew this is what I wanted to do. And it was kind of that full circle moment from that time in Haiti as an 18-year-old to now in my, when I started at Ron Blue in my mid-20s, it couldn't have been more obvious for me.
Wow. So that's pretty incredible story. So God's calling was really just right there. And
when that did happen, I was still connected. I still am connected to Danita's children, still support them. And we did a little fundraiser with my church to help just provide some sort of resource, do our part from the States.
All right. So you've been in the financial services business then for 12?
Financial services specifically for about 9 years. 9
years. Okay. All right. And so share with the enrichers a little bit about, your family and I know that as an entrepreneur, which almost anybody in the financial services business, that we really are entrepreneurial minded, right?
Sure.
You need that support from home. So let's talk a little bit about the support that you get from your probably your significant other.
Yes, I've got a great supporting wife. We actually met in high school and started dating March of our senior year of high school, which is oftentimes seen as very risky as you head off to college. But we started dating. We both actually went to Stanford University, and we dated all through college. And we got married a week after graduating. So we jumped right in and grew up as adults together. So she is a phenomenal supporter of me, and she's had the opportunity, and this isn't really common, but she gets to travel with me sometimes for work when I'm speaking at a particular conference or whatnot. So she gets to see what it is that I do, and oftentimes a tangible way. She gets to know clients, all of those things, which is really fun to get to bring along your spouse so she understands missionally almost what our family's trying to accomplish. So she's wonderful. Her name's Ashley. And then I've got 3 kiddos, Levi, Tolson, and Ford. So Levi's about to turn 7, and then Tolson is 5, and Ford is 3. So we got a busy, wild, lively household all the time, and they're the best.
Yeah, that's awesome. So so it was that 3 boys? Is that what I just heard?
Boy, girl, boy.
Okay. All right. So 2 boys, 1 girl. So because Ford, I mean, that could be a boy or a girl. I have no idea.
Yeah, Tolson is a family name. It's my grandmother's maiden name, and my grandmother was really influential to me in my life. So it's just kind of a way to honor that family.
Nice. That's awesome. So, your wife, my guess would be probably, I mean, she's my better half and makes me look a lot better than I actually am.
Oh yeah, I'm clueless.
So I love having my wife participate whenever, I do any types of, networking or glad hand, whatever the case may be. Is that kind of the same situation with you?
Absolutely. And there's a reality that she can connect with many, and we have a lot of fun getting to do that together.
Yeah, that's awesome. I tell people all the time, like, if you want to know how good of a salesperson I am, just meet my wife, because I way outpunted my coverage.
Amen. Amen.
So let's talk a little bit about your college days in Samford, not to be confused with Stanford.
That's correct, but I won't correct you if you made that mistake. Okay.
Yeah. But I heard you say Samford.
Yeah.
So you said that you played college football, or you played football and then didn't play in college. So
yes, good question. I played college football at Samford University down in Birmingham, Alabama.
Nice. All right. So 4-year All-American. What?
You had the 4-year part right. No, I had a great time there. Played there for 4 years. And as a college athlete, you're there all the time, and your teammates become your best friends. And still to this day, I'm really close to a lot of them, and had the opportunity to play in some fun environments, had the opportunity to play with some really talented guys, some guys that are still playing in the NFL today.
Wow.
So it was fun. I have to remind myself that was unique. Not everybody gets the opportunity to do that.
Connor, you guys have any chiggers or fireflies down there?
We have the opportunity to have both.
I figured so.
Its fireflies are great. They're not around too long, but I've got a great video. They come around, I don't know, 8:30 p.m. and it's always fun, especially to expose your kids to catching fireflies. Chiggers are not as exciting.
Yeah, I remember we were actually, our team was playing in the Babe Ruth World Series when we were 15. We were in Springfield, Missouri. Yeah. And we'd never seen fireflies before. So we went out and we were running around catching them and stuff. And then we came in, and the host parent's mom was like, "Okay, boys, well, you need to go and take a shower now. You got chiggers."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Chiggers on your legs. Look." And we looked down. There's like these little black things. And my buddy Neil was like, "Oh my God, they're biting me." And then I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude? Like, they weren't biting you a minute ago. Like, now all of a sudden they are." But they do bite, I guess. So he like took on a beeline to the swimming pool and jumped in the swimming pool. She said, "Jump in the swimming pool." So we went over and jumped in there and got out. But
they will mess you up. Our kid, we went probably a week or so ago. There's a creek that runs through our neighborhood, and we went fishing with the kids, had a great time. And on our way back, stopped by the playground, and there's these big bushes, and they were kind of running in and out of them or whatnot. And we got home later that night, and they were all just tore up. The chiggers will just get after you. And you don't know it at the time, right? But then it's afterwards, and you're like, and it sticks around for a while. Yeah, they're terrible.
It's
do you have any financial planning for chiggers?
Make sure you budget to get bug spray.
Okay, chemical free. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, noted.
Of course. And then, so growing up, I'm from Arkansas originally, and my in-laws, my mom's side of the family, they lived in a little city called LaGrange, Kentucky, which is just outside of Louisville. Yeah. And I remember that was the first time in Arkansas. I don't remember fireflies, but my grandmother had this big field right next to her house in Kentucky, and we would go out there and catch them and put them in the jars, and the whole deal. It was a summer thing every single time. So I don't know what it was about. Maybe it was just that big open field. Maybe that was why I noticed them. And
I didn't know that they really wouldn't be everywhere else. I mean, I've lived in Nashville my whole life, and I've actually never thought about the fact that they just wouldn't be everywhere.
Yeah, they're not.
I learned that. I learned that today by social media or our phones or whatever it may be. We actually knew what boredom was.
I'd love to be able to go back to some of those days and unplug, so to speak. And that's one of those things that maybe we can talk about that more in the third segment, but unplugging is such a critical piece of the equation, because I mean, I'm 50, and my co-host Tim, he's sneaking up on 50. He's right around the corner. And I mean, when we were growing up, we didn't have the access to the rest of the world like we do now. And that was a simpler, nicer time for me. And I think my son just the other day said to my wife, he was like, "Mom, growing up as a kid in 2020, 2021 sucks." He was like, "I wish I could have grown up whenever you were growing up."
I believe that. I will have some questions around that, because I read a book earlier this year called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Maybe you guys have read that. And he shared a stat, or really just a statement, that was, if you were born after 1996, you do not know what boredom is. Meaning, right, if you were born after 1996, you've only known a world with significant technology and something to be held in your hand. Yeah. Right, to entertain you. And so, I mean, you never had those times where you're just creating games or wandering outside or whatever it may be. And that makes me sad, that these younger generations aren't experiencing that.
Yeah, it's critically important, as parents, to remember those types of things, and not to let them get too far down that path. Because I mean, your kids are young still, right?
Yeah.
And,
they're growing up way too fast. I mean, that's the problem. There's some stuff. I mean, like, there's some pretty heavy stuff out there, statistics and stuff. Like, it's pretty sad. Like 7 out of 10, like 70% of like 10-year-olds are on porn sites for males. For females, it's like 4 out of 10, because they have easy access to it. Heck, my friend was just, he goes down, we go down to the park all the time, play guitar. He was down there by himself, and he said this like 14-year-old kid came up with a 12-year-old girl, and they were talking, and he was a drug dealer. He's 14. And they were just talking like this. The girl came back another day and was talking to him, and she said, "Yeah, I just broke up with my boyfriend because he cheated on me." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You're 12. This is absolutely ridiculous." I mean, she should be like painting pictures of flowers or something, or doing hopscotch, not, dealing with this.
So
kind of
serious.
Stuff.
Everything's so serious,
Yeah.
So heavy.
It's like, I don't know. And then I remember reading something years ago, I think it was like 2014 or something, that said that if children should not be on video games until after 11 years old, because if they are on them, it's going to permanently disrupt like just how their brain works for the rest of their life, and probably cause them more stress and stuff like that. And I remember it's like, I think I was 11 when I got my Nintendo. So I was like, I made that by the hair of my chinny chin chin, because I was like super like addicted to that thing. My mom had to peel me off the damn thing. So I get it. It's like they're designed to do that and distract people from life and family, and it's part of the tear down of the nuclear family, I believe.
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
No doubt about it.
Parents, we need you to step up. Just
we
buy
do.
That crap.
Yeah, step up. So I have one last question, and I want to tie it back into before we go into the next
sports.
Segment. Well, I want to go back. I want to go back to the football question. What position did you play whenever you played football?
I was a quarterback.
Okay.
No, I'm not near fast enough to play strong safety.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought I remembered you being a quarterback, and the reason why I wanted to bring that back up before we take this break is that's a good segue maybe to talk about what did that do for you to help you with understanding the team mentality, but like being the quarterback and being the leader of, taking you to the end zone and scoring and all that stuff. Right. So anyway, I just wanted to, get your take on this, on how you think that really helped to influence you on being successful in the financial advisory space.
Oh, I think it helps me in a number of ways. One, there's all these personality tests that you can take, and every single one of them, I fall into a very team oriented. In fact, my senior year, I won the team award for my football team in terms of just being the most team oriented, team first person is kind of the idea of that award. And so as a quarterback, this is subjective, but in my opinion, football is one of, if not the best team sport out there in terms of what it requires of 11 guys at one time. And as a quarterback, yeah, you're in charge of knowing everything. You're in charge of knowing what everybody's job is. You're in charge of directing. You're in charge of fixing, coordinating, whatever you want to call it. And it's funny that in our job, in fact, in one of our marketing materials, we have we call it the football field diagram. Our job is to quarterback your situation, because there's all these different aspects of the financial world, whether it be paying a bill or taxes or estate planning or insurance or whatever it may be. We define ourselves as the quarterback. And so that requires you to speak up. That requires you to listen. It requires you to be assertive and supportive and many other things. And so it's a really dynamic role within the football world. And I feel like that very much translates to what's required of me. I've got to ask good questions. I've got to be quiet and listen. I've got to provide wisdom, direction, whatever it may be. So a lot is asked of me in my role in what I do. And absolutely playing quarterback helped me do that today.
Yeah.
Well, that probably gives you like a little inside game on what you're doing now, because you're quarterbacking. You have a client, but they have a family attached to them. So there's team players there, and you got to it's like a conductor, right?
Absolutely. Everybody has value. Everybody has a voice and feelings, especially, we'll talk about the emotional, psychology of money, but everybody's got emotions about money. And so, yeah, part of my job is making sure we're all reading from the same play sheet, running the same plays,
everybody else's perspectives. That's good.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Awesome stuff, man. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get into what you're doing over there as you're quarterbacking people through their financial advisory. Completely lost my thought, Carter. He's quarterbacking people. That's what he's doing. He's helping with their finances. Yeah, that's it. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us, or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcox, and today in the house we've got Connor Lowery. Connor, we were just talking about your background as a quarterback and the football team, and how that's kind of relating to how you're quarterbacking people with their finances nowadays, and it's really important to be a team player and to see everybody's side when you're doing it. So, what are you doing over there at your firm that you would say that is kind of like your guys' unique blueprint or footprint? What are you guys doing that kind of separates you from the rest of the pack?
Sure. I would say it's two things. One, we are proactively and tangibly applying biblical wisdom to our advice. There's a lot of time-tested principles and wisdom in the Bible that we apply to our advice, whether that be across investments or estate planning, or specifically in our world of serving athletes. How do you support family and friends financially with a lot of wisdom? That's a really heavy and hard topic. And so there's a lot of biblical input there. So that's one area. And then secondly, as we were talking earlier, there's a lot of different financial niches out there, specifically on the personal finance side. Most often the focus is on investments, insurance planning, or tax planning. Those are kind of the more exciting things, because you're either making money or hopefully you're saving money or not paying Uncle Sam. And so those are oftentimes the focal points. Our focus is truly on the comprehensive the total financial plan, which starts with understanding your cash flow, right? If you're going to have a successful business, you cannot, no matter how good your idea is, or no matter how great your product is, if it is for naught. And so our focus starts with, what does the Bible say about money? And secondly, what is your actual cash flow? From there, we get into all the other areas of finance.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, you've got now in Richards, by the way, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Joined today by Connor Lowery of Ron Blue. Is it Ron? I heard you say Ronald Blue, but it says Ron Blue on the website. So is it Ron or Ronald? What do you go by?
That's a great question. It's Ronald Blue Trust is our officially company name.
Okay.
Ron Blue, our founder, he goes by Ron. And so we've been referred to as Ron Blue. We've referred to as Blue. We used to be Ronald Blue and Company, but we became a trust company in August of 2017. So our name changed.
Gotcha. So for you and Richards who are just listening to this podcast, you can't see this necessarily, but on the back of Connor's wall is a bunch of sports athletes that apparently that's one of your big niches is, so to speak, is that not only is it the biblical principles, but also you're working with professional athletes and helping them, I would assume, not only during their career, but obviously financial planning throughout their career, because that's a limited amount of time on their income that they're going to generate. Unless, of course, you're Tiger Woods, which I get, my new Tiger Woods back here.
Right.
Unless you're a golfer, you're limited when it comes to football and baseball. And is that who your predominant clients are? Is that more in those sports?
That's right. I am a financial advisor in the professional athlete division at Ronald Blue Trust. We've got 5 different divisions. So this is our team that I serve on. Our specific focus is on pro athletes. So we serve just over 130 active and retired athlete families.
So when you're working with those athletes, and you've got one of my most favorite athletes up there, Ben Zobrist.
Yeah.
I'm a Kansas City Royal, moved out to, Arizona from Kansas City 25 years ago. So obviously Chiefs and Royals. So,
yeah.
But he is actually one of Ronald Blue's clients, or is it Connor Lowery's clients? How do you determine that?
It's a good question. He is a client of Ronald Blue Trust. Yep.
Gotcha. But you are working with them hand in glove, I'm assuming, for specific roles, or explain how that kind of.
Yeah, good question, because we know one person specifically in terms of the scope of how we're serving these athletes and the different areas of their world from a financial standpoint. No one person can do all of it. And so on our team, we've got a number of different roles. We've got financial advisors, we've got financial planners, we've got client accounting coordinators that do things like pay bills and coordinate if we've got a client who buys a ranch in Texas and needs gas and water lines run, to the property. They help coordinate with the county. We've got a tax team. We have people who help manage the banking. So we've got all these different roles. My role being in a financial advisor role is certainly a lot more client relationship focused, casting vision, asking questions, helping coordinate a lot of things, and ultimately giving advice.
So you're a personal CFO, but you're part of a bigger picture of, talk a little bit about this multi-family office that, Ronald Blue Trust is.
Yeah. So within Ronald Blue Trust, the 5 divisions. So I've spoken about the professional athlete division. The core of our company, which was started in 1979, is private wealth, and private wealth serves families, whether it be a business owner, real estate developer, doctor, an executive, whatever it may be, a number of different roles. They just serve high net worth families. We've got an everyday steward division that serves clients who maybe don't need all of the ongoing advice, but maybe would like to, but they want our perspective, our biblical input, and they want to have a financial plan done maybe once a year or every couple of years and want to just start that process. That's what the everyday steward does, and they're incredible at what they help provide. Then you've got a family office division, which the family office division is very similar to ours, except oftentimes family office is extreme high net worth and multi-generational. So you think about a family business that has 2, even 3 generations involved. That is one of their focuses. And then lastly, we've got a business consulting division that helps a lot of our clients really help transition businesses, right? So whether that be an internal transition, whether that be a family ownership transition or a third party out, they help in that process, because that's not something that happens overnight, right? Imagine you've got a patriarch who has started a business and has built it over 4 decades, and you've got 3 children and one child is working in the business and the other 2 are not. How do you transition that well?
Yep.
How do you transition the wealth and the responsibilities and the pride and the history? All that's complex. And so our business consulting division does that, among some other things. So started specifically in Roswell, Georgia, on the north side of Atlanta. We have 14 branches is what I would call them, which primarily house the private wealth divisions. And so that goes from obviously in Atlanta down to in Orlando, up to Baltimore, and then all the way over to Seattle, down to Orange County, California, Houston, Texas, Nashville, Chicago, a number of cities, major cities. We've served clients in all 50 states and have about 10,000 households that we're serving across the country. So thankfully, especially over the past 2 years, we've all gotten really used to Zoom. Yeah. And Zoom has enabled us to serve, in I think a lot better way. Traveling, it's hard to travel all the time, and phone calls are so, but Zoom has really changed the game and being able to have a more tangible meeting and time together. So yeah, we serve people from all over the country.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, in my industry, in my specific industry, obviously dealing mainly in the estate and legacy planning, world, but working, as an advisor to advisors and helping to, create these opportunities for them when it comes to client acquisition. But the thing for me that I loved was, these virtual meetings, right? Because, for the longest time, it was, over email, or you would call somebody, and transferring emotions is a little bit more difficult whenever you're, making phone calls and sending emails, right?
Absolutely.
That's why, a text can, if you don't have the right commas in the right places, it can all of a sudden be like, how rude was that, right?
That's right. I include a lot of smiley faces and excited exclamation points to text to my wife. I can be a little direct, and so I've got to soften the delivery.
Yeah, for sure. But for me, when you're relationship building, you're a relationship manager, right? And you understand the importance of, of cultivating those relationships and nurturing them and all that stuff. And to your point, I think it's made it a lot easier, and it's commonplace now because everybody's sort of been forced. And I'm talking about even some of the older generation. Right. This includes, family members of mine, but a lot of our advisors' clients are in their 60s, 70s, 80s.
Right.
They are comfortable now doing things, online and communicating online, or doing e-signature type of stuff, or all of this stuff. Are you finding the same to be true in your space?
Absolutely. Especially when you think about all the logistics that our team specifically is coordinating. Not all of our divisions do the bill pay aspect, but our division doing simply just a bill pay function and being involved in banking functions gets us involved into a lot of documents. And so things like DocuSign are vital for us to be able to process really quickly and to get documents executed all across the country. Same thing with Zoom. We've got clients, specifically our division, a lot of the private wealth divisions, most of their clients are within kind of their region, their scope. So Nashville, for example, primarily serve, we try to be really efficient in the sense that if I'm going to go see a client that plays for this team and they're in Chicago playing, the Cubs, and we've got a client on the Cubs or the White Sox or the Bears, we try to coordinate that so we can meet with multiple clients while they're all in one city. So that is something that's helpful for our active players.
So, it's interesting because I don't know if you remember, because Connor, what are you, mid-30s?
I'm 32.
Okay, all right. So early 30s. We'll call that early 30s, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Like, don't make me any more older than I want to be, right?
Yeah.
So I was graduating high school when you were born. So I don't know if you remember this or not, but do you remember the TV show Arliss on HBO?
Arliss, no.
Okay, all right. Look it up. There's your homework for tonight.
Yeah.
When you go home, look up Arliss, and you're going to understand why I'm going to ask you this question. It was a setting where it was this sports agent, right? And he had all these things that he did for his athletes, and of course they got all these cameo appearances and everything of, like Barry Bonds is on there, and but it was a really interesting show. I was going to ask you, what's it like for some of your athletes, or have you had to deal with it where they get traded like mid-season, and then now you have to manage what that means? Because now I'm thinking Ben Zobrist, right? He was with the Royals, but then in the off season, but sometimes athletes get traded mid-season. Have you had to deal with any of that yet?
Absolutely. And that's one of the pros of working with our team, is as involved as we are, because the nature of pro sports is that very few athletes get the opportunity to play for just one team in their career. They almost all, it's I don't like absolutes, but they absolutely all get traded or play for multiple teams. And that's incredibly disruptive, especially if it's a mid-season deal. And you think about if you're married, if you own a property or you're renting, you've got your stuff somewhere. And when you get traded, it's not like, hey, when convenient for you, could you make your way across the country? It's no, you're getting on a flight and you're playing for a new team in Seattle tomorrow. And here you are, you're playing for the Marlins, the day before. So it's really disruptive. And especially, these athletes, they have lives outside of the game that often include, again, it might be a marriage, could be kids, and it's really complex. And so that's where one of the roles that we have in being so involved is we're helping, get the previous rental or previous property settled and getting the new one rolling, and what does furnishing look like, and making sure you've got rental coverage, and what are the logistics of getting the cars up to that particular city. I mean, there's a lot of coordination that's going on. And so I think oftentimes, the player is certainly focused on playing the game. And so we are right there to help out the spouse who has to physically move the kids and get them to another city. And so that's one of the services that we provide that I think is vital for that given reason.
Yeah, that's I was just curious about that. So you got your homework. Check out Arliss, and it's one of those HBO shows that it's definitely rated R, right? But the gist of it is it's kind of interesting. I think.
Yeah, and people, what's the HBO series? I'm blanking on it. With The Rock, Ballers. Thank you. I'll get that question kind of kiddingly. Is that what our job is like? And I will certainly answer no. That is not what we do. We try to be, in all seriousness, we try to be in the background.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to see us. We're not trying to be showy or something like that. That's not our job. Our focus is serving the family and coordinate things in the background.
Yeah. So. That's awesome. It's been educational for me and for the enrichers. I'm sure that they're really getting an opportunity to understand, just how comprehensive, Connor Lowery, and then of course the entire team at Ronald Blue Trust, and how, you do all those things, and, the whole family office and multifamily office and personal CFO and all of those, touch points that you guys are doing over there. So I commend you on obviously finding something like that. And it sounds like to me, it really was providential and a no-brainer to go start, working with them.
That's right. Yeah. It's been a real blessing, and it's I've got to pinch myself to know that at my age, early 30s, that I'm at my dream job, and I have a lot of purpose with my job, or I feel like I've got a lot of purpose, and I get to help cast vision for people financially, but really purpose in the sense of defining their why. Why have you been blessed with the skill set to play professional sports and to have a platform that none of us have, and to have the opportunity to earn lifetime money. There's a lot of responsibility there. There's a lot of weight, and it's complex. And the psychology that professional athletes and their families have to go through relative to the rest of us is really dynamic and complex. And it's a lot of fun to just, and truly an honor to get to be a part of it and walk with them and help them really set themselves up for post-playing years and navigating what are they going to do, right? How are they going to engage maybe in a particular ministry? That can be a lifelong, venture. So it's a lot of fun for our team.
Yeah. Obviously not every athlete is, Tom Brady, where he's, forever young. And of course, he's already signed a TV deal or something once he goes out, and, the Mannings and the Tom Brady's of the world are few and far between. So it sounds like you're doing a phenomenal job over there, helping with not only, cash flow and understanding that, but also, retirement planning and what happens post sports.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. I mean, the statistics are no secret. You hear about the failure rate. There's the 30 for 30 that a lot of people reference. But I mean, the statistics of being that within 2 years of retirement, over 70% of professional athletes are either broke, divorced, or unemployed. And so we talk a lot about, hey, are you willing to do what the 25-30% are doing to be successful? That means you've got to look and feel really different from the locker room, or the wives' suite or whatever it may be. You've got to be doing something different to try and be successful long term. So it's difficult. The statistics are bad, but just like any of us, if you're willing to be disciplined and include some time-tested wisdom into your planning, then you're setting yourself to be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was going to ask you a question. You get any guys or gals that are like 18, 21, and they get millions of bucks, and they're like train wrecks, and they come in and they're like, save me. Like they finally realize that, it's because I imagine being 18. I mean, I probably would have just had lots of fishing lures and guns and stuff.
It's hard, specifically now, football, you've got to play in college for a little while, but still guys will get drafted early. But you really think about the baseball players, the basketball players, they can come into money really quick, really material money at a very young age. And yeah, it's really easy when you've got this pot of money. I say if you don't give purpose to your dollars will find their own purpose out the door. And when you've got a pot of money, it's so easy to go buy that new truck or the new things, right? The fishing reel, whatever it may be, you can spend it pretty quickly. And so, yeah, there's a lot of walking with them. There's a lot of teaching. I talked about I wanted to be a coach when I was younger. There's a lot of coaching. Was talking today with a parent of one of our newer players who was just recently drafted in the MLB draft. And, parents are concerned about their 18, 19, 20-year-old son who is going to get millions of dollars. It's really it's a difficult thing to tackle. And a lot of us would think, oh, that's easy. Give me that money. I'll do great. But, we've all heard the stories about the lottery winners and the disaster, statistics around that. And it's just money is so unique, right? Money's so unique in how it impacts our emotions and thinking and our pride or fear or whatever it may be. And so, yeah.
Well, and statistically, there's 74% of Americans have less than $400 in savings. So those kids that are getting these contracts, they have a 72% chance that their parents have no idea how to manage money as well. So you guys kind of become the financial parents of them and become the stewards of them and help them and guide them. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. So those things you just don't learn, when you're cutting grass and getting paid, cash, you think that that's just how you're going to make money. And as you start to work and get paid and W-2 and all this kind of stuff, it's really complex really quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're talking about is a new educational system, which is we're probably actually due at this point. So anyway, great segment, guys. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to let Connor, we're going to flip the script and let him ask me any question he has on health. We'll be right back.
You You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon, and today in the house we've got Connor Lowery. And Connor, this is the point in our podcast where we flip the script. You can ask me any question you have on health. So what are your questions, brother?
Well, it's we would like to think that every athlete is healthy self in terms of focusing on just the mental, emotional health as just a human. And specific to the athlete and the audience that I'm serving, these guys are having to perform at the very highest level with an absolute microscope on them 365 days and perform on a big platform. And they go from that extreme scenario to, 30 minutes after a game, having to engage with their family and engage with their 3-year-old who is very excited to see them or is throwing a tantrum down in the tunnels after the game. And so I'd love to get your input on what should professional athletes be doing to take care of themselves, mentally and emotionally.
Well, I think this question actually applies to a lot of people, everybody today, because we also have more stressors on our just everyday lives than ever before with, both parents out in the job space trying to make ends meet and stuff. And I get that with professional athletes, they are under a microscope. So I would have to say that probably the most important thing a professional athlete can do is learning how to develop habits on how to focus on being present in the moment, which is so important because a lot of times they can be worrying about how they performed in the game, right? And they're sitting there trying to play with the 3-year-old and they're not present with the 3-year-old or their wife, right? Or they're worried about, am I going to get traded right after this or that? We're going to have to move the family and all this stuff. So when you live in the past or live in the future, you're always traveling. Like your brain is like being present is one of the most important things you can do. And, people call it meditation, being mindful, clearing your mind, breath work. But this is one of the main focuses that we help people with because, like when I first got into this work, I thought it was like, just change the diet, clean up the gut, get the chemicals and toxins out of the body, give people the awareness about it, obviously, first, because nobody really knows. I didn't. And everything's going to be fine. But there's, stress is such a huge component now that it's one of the big 3 in our practice. Like we literally focus on getting chemicals and toxins out of the body, putting nature and the nutrition back in, the gut bacteria, the microbiome, all that stuff, and then dealing with stress. And then, so you have to have strategies. You have to have some habits. You have to have something you can do that's going to help you stay in the eye of the storm, no matter what's going on. And you can be totally happy and totally present. So another thing that I do actually is, which I think would help anybody, especially a professional athlete, is I focus on following my excitement, what gives me joy and excitement, because I believe that is our creator's map on what we should be doing. It's like if you're doing something that's fun and exciting to you, then go do that and do that to your best of your ability until you can no longer take action on it, and then look around and find out what else is exciting to you, right? So, and then go do that. That's the map. But the key is, here's the second part of this puzzle. You can have no insistence on a particular outcome. So the thread of excitement is kind of the muscle that you want to build. If you can build that muscle of following the thread of excitement without an insistence on an outcome, because you might we talk about it every year. Like we set goals and we help our clients do vision boards, right? Mm-hmm. But as soon as that vision board's done, you might be excited about it. You might be excited about some of the stuff on it, but then you have to let it go because you can't be holding on to that, what you want so bad, because that might not be what you need to be doing. But the excitement might got you to the next step that allows you to see something else that you there before did not see, to let you do that. And that's where you needed to be going. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the way I'm kind of relating to that is I think when we do get excited, and this is kind of the slippery slope, it's like when we do get excited about something or on board with something, I find that we can oftentimes operate out of fear. And we're, if you picture that vision board that we're excited about, or a financial plan in my world that we're excited about, you can sometimes start to squeeze it like a wet bar of soap, and it then becomes stressful. Something that is good and well intended can all of a sudden be stressful because you have all this fear about it not working out the exact way that you wanted to. So it's interesting that you say that. Would you
see what you just said there about it not working out? That's future thinking.
Yeah.
So you're living in the future and it does not exist. I have people in my life right now that even today talked about stuff in the past and how people had wronged them and all that stuff. They're just drenching up the past, creating these negative emotions in their body. And those emotions actually translate to a physical, biological chemicals in their body that's lowering their immune system. And this is something that happened 30 years ago, right? Or 2 weeks ago or whatever. We can't do that. We have to what I do is and here's a big word. It's called contrast. Everything in life, this is another big takeaway that I got, hopefully will help your athletes, is that everything in life is meaningless. Think about that. Everything in life is meaningless. It's only the meaning that you give it, which means that you have the choice. So if somebody, quote unquote, wrongs you, right? You can look at it and let it beat you up and drag it around and feel bad and actually lower your immune system and not feel good. Or you can call it, hey, thank you so much for the contrast. You've shown me what I don't want, because that vibrational frequency will tell you I don't want that. So maybe that's a person you don't want to spend time with anymore. And what's exciting now is it's pushing you more towards where you do want to go. So it's beneficial, right? And some people can look back on relationships like, oh, they're holding on to this relationship. They finally got out of it, and then they met the person of their dreams, and now everything's really good, right? So those are a couple examples right there. But I think that, follow in your excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome, and with that is the map. And then when these things come up, there's nothing good or bad. It's just contrast. And if you can stay in the eye of the storm and look at things that way, and be present in the moment, I think that's that's what's worked for me, man. And since 2018, when I started adopting these philosophies, my life has transformed tremendously. I'm pretty good at not being stressed out anymore. It's still there, but I have ways to manage it now through meditation and breath work and that stuff. And, their time. It's very important. And this is for anybody. I always tell people, if you're an independent woman, you're an independent man, you decide to get together, you get married, you can't do every freaking thing together the rest of your life. Okay. If you want to give your wife something good, it's not taking her out or having a 3-day weekend. Maybe she needs to go hang out with her girlfriends for the weekend. Hey, here's a trip. I called your friends. You guys are going to the beach. Bye. Thank you so much. That's what she needs sometimes. Right. So,
absolutely.
Okay. So anyway, continue on.
Yeah. So what does that look like? I think there's, I'm going to ask you a question about the off season for athletes, but for these athlete families, specifically in season, where they have a real lack of control of their schedule and where they're physically at, meaning, right, their schedule, the teams that they're playing start to dictate where they're at and whatnot. What's one or two just really tangible things that they could be doing in the season to be present? And what I mean by that more specifically is you're in a big city and you're a professional athlete, and chances are if you walk outside in the public or you go out to the park or whatnot, you might be recognized. What are some things in season that these families really could be doing to be present with one another?
Are they on the road with them, or are you talking about them being home and the athlete on the road without
them?
Let's
just keep it simple and just say when they're at home. Obviously, when they're on the road and the players by themselves, they're going to have some solo time. But when they get back from being on the road, but they still have a busy schedule and they're playing every night or whatever sport that they've got going on, what are one or two things that they could do to find that solitude right? To find some of that rest so that they can be more present.
Well, it sounds like a planning meeting, brother. So it's like sitting down with the spouse and the children and mapping out, like, to make sure that they have their time and that the spouse knows that, hey, I'm going to be making dinner or whatever on Wednesday nights. And this isn't going to, Wednesdays and Sundays it's family. And no matter what, you're here. Right. So then that person doesn't go and book something with their friends and miss it. Right. So scheduling is very important, I believe, in that situation, because it's like you said, the schedules are crazy. I was taught that in business consulting. I've been using that for years, because my business consultant said, hey, look, you like, especially for like real estate agents, like, especially when they're new, somebody says, I want to see the house. They're like, I'm out of here. And they're going to go sell the house, and it's like, well, wait a minute. We have plans, like, ready to dinner. Sorry, I'm going to go make a commission. It's like, and then the worst thing is, like, you're sitting there watching your kid's Little League game and the phone rings and somebody's, it's like, oh, come show the listing or whatever, just using the realtors as an example. And they get off and they're over there on the phone doing deals, and their son hits a grand slam home run, wins the game, and they miss it. Okay. This is a perfect example of not being present. No deal is that important. And if you think about a brain surgeon, you can't just call a brain surgeon up and it's like, hey man, I want to talk to you about my brain deal. It's like, oh, well, what's going on? It's like, hold on a second. Yeah. Hey honey, I got to leave the kid's game. I'm going to talk to them about their surgery tomorrow. You can't get in touch with these people. So you have to be a professional at all levels, right? Mm-hmm. And value yourself and understand that, like, the whole reason you're playing professional sports, number one, is probably because you love it and you like it, but the income and all that from the business side of it is there to support your personal life. Your personal life does not support the business or the athlete life, period. The business supports the personal life. So the main focus is on you first, and then your family. And this is like one of my mottos: you change yourself, you change your world. Because if you think about this, probably 20 years ago, if somebody would have said, hey, Tim, who's more important, you or your kids? I would have said my kids, 100%, no question. And I believe it. I mean it. But now if somebody asked me that question, I'd say me, I'm more important. And they're like, oh, you're a selfish SOB. No, I want to lead by example for my children, because I want them to put themselves first. Mama bear has to teach baby bear what to do in the woods, right?
Right.
There's grubs over here. Over here, we eat huckleberries in the fall. Watch out for the big daddy bear over there. He's not our daddy. He's mean. He might eat us. So she's showing them the ropes, leading by example, right? Because I see all these parents nowadays, and they put everybody else first, and they run around until they run themselves ragged, and then wheel falls off with their health, and then they're in the hospital in a broken system, and then they can't take care of nobody, and everything falls apart. Is that what you really want for your kids? You wanted them to go through that? No. So lead by example, putting yourself first, and then scheduling that time for your time so you can be present, work on that, have your friend time, have your solitude time, you got your family time, balance it all out, and then just stick to it. Nothing's ever perfect. There are going to be some things, but at least you have a running, workable schedule. I think that's going to help take a lot of pressure off. And communication is huge. It's always huge in relationships, especially in family dynamics. Having open communication and just, talking to your kids, even when they're little. They're smarter than we are, right? Just chatting with them and asking them and, what's going on. And you better know, if you don't know your kid's best friend's names, you got problems.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you said something interesting about just this simple kind of like budgeting when no one wants to budget, for their finances, but it's basically budgeting your time, right? Mm-hmm. It was probably, 3 or 4 years ago in my own marriage where we just felt like we were getting just wore out with the social demands and work demands and getting 7 days, down the road and be like trying to rest because, there's endless opportunities to do something or be with people. And that's a lot of fun. And I think that's really important. We're designed to be in community, and those things are good. But it really was after, making that switch, I felt like all of my relationships increased in health, and then in my own just restfulness and being able to be present. Because like you said, if you're just running really hot and stressed and have a lot of pressure and you're running off of fear, you just are like a ticking time bomb.
Totally. And biochemically, totally too, as well.
Yeah.
It's like taking a rest is like sharpening the saw. Like, you have to take some time, and sharpening the saw in your life is going inward, going inward, going inward. If you don't feel joy right now, we talked about this earlier. Joy is not something you go find. You are joy. You just have to go inward and express your own joy.
No, that's great. I've recently, or I say recently, a couple of years ago, I got exposed to Chip Dodd's book, the 8 Feelings of the Heart, where I started practicing with some other men of just checking in emotionally, right? We basically are designed, our world forces us to separate our hearts and our minds. And so we oftentimes operate just with our heads. And so I've done some work to re-engage the emotional side so I can be emotionally present with the kids. One of the main things that was really taught in this group that we meet weekly, in fact, but one of the main things was getting away. And so that's one of the things, I'm sure, or I think that you would agree with, as I have found just truly getting away, physically separating yourself, from the day to day, retreating into nature, or like you said, going on a trip just with the guys or just with the girls, where you can really turn it off and just relax. I remember I went the first time I went to the refuge up in Montana. It was an awesome experience. Almost any trip to Montana is. And I came back and my wife was like, "You seem the healthiest that I've experienced you in a while." And all I did was go away for 4 or 5 days with some really close friends and fish on Bighorn River and just be outside.
Yeah, you reconnected with the creator, man. That's what it is. And if people forget that we are nature, I talked about this. I don't know if I talked on this show, but it's like, if you just look at it from like, what's your body made of mostly? It's water. Where do you find that? Nature. There's gut bacteria in your gut. The same ones are in the soil microbiome, gut microbiome, same ones. So there's another indicator we're from nature. And when you die, if you're cremated, as an example, it's minerals. Where do those come from? They came from nature. Like, so we are nature. So it's so funny. I was at a friend's house with his girlfriend, and her parents were visiting, and they were from like California, big buzzy fast city and all that. And his mom or her mom got on a inner tube deal and just paddled across the river, up the river a little bit, and then came back. And she came back. She's like, "I have not been this relaxed, and I can't remember when." All she did was get in an inner tube and go across the river and up the river and back down the river, and just no big deal. It's just a nice, slow little river. And she was like, "I feel so good." And she's like, "I wonder why that is." And I was explaining to her, I was like, it's nature. You just reconnect walks. It's just that easy.
I believe
People think it has to be so damn complicated. No, it's like, the reason why everything is so complicated is confuse you, to take away your power, so that you have to go to this professional person to help you that's got this degree with this alphabet soup behind their name that nobody really cares about the degree anymore except the people issuing it. All people really want to do is wake up and feel good, and they want results. And I'm telling people, like, the results are you going inward for your and going and then getting in nature. Those two things right there are some of the most powerful things you can do. And a lot of it doesn't cost anything. It's like, not, unless you're like, I don't know, if you live in New York and there's not a lot of nature, maybe you go to Central Park or something. Right. But athletes, maybe they just throw on some glasses and a hat and get out of there, and just get out in nature. No,
that's why you see a lot of them engage with, whether it be golf or hunting, or there's some great family camps out there in Colorado's and Montana's and Wyoming's. And so we strongly encourage them to take advantage of that, because there's just something magical about being outside and not seeing a big building and actually seeing stars in the sky, that is incredibly powerful for us, because our eyes, unfortunately, are attracted to this light, way more, and it jacks us up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Something special about dark, out in the, getting away from the city lights and everything. You look up and all you see is the stars, and it's just like, whoa. I mean, that. Yeah. You feel like you could reach up and truly just grab them out of the sky. And you find, I don't know if you guys have, but have you found yourself when you're in that moment, you kind of like, you kind of start questioning what you're doing day to day, but you're like, why am I not here every day?
Yeah.
Like, should I just pick up and should I just move to and live in Montana? Because there's something that draws you. Yeah. There's something very natural. Obviously, God's beauty and his design is we get to experience in what he created rather than these concrete buildings that we're building.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I can attest to that. I just returned home to Eastern Oregon, which is pretty much like Montana after being gone for decades. And I look up at the stars every night and I'm just like thinking, what the hell was I doing? It's like I should have been here the whole time, but I got a lot of contrast. I'm not living in the present or the past. I'm just trying to focus. I'm happy I'm here now. And I'm going to look at the stars tonight. I'm very thankful that I'm where I'm at. So anyway, Connor, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Carter, do you have anything else?
No, I don't have anything. I just didn't know if you wanted to, ask you any other questions and everything before we let everybody go.
Well, I think we covered it. Otherwise, we're going to have a 4-hour show. We're going to be like a Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, we're making a joke about, 5 hours later, right? So
yeah, those are amazing.
Yeah. So, hey, Enrichers, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. And to be able to see all of our previous wonderful guests like Connor Lowery, you can go to our website at www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com and make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Google, or Apple. So for my fantastic co-host and Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James, I'm Carter Wilcoxon, CEO and founder of CSI Financial Group and co-founder of Epic Services Company. Thanking you for joining us for another episode. Connor, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your backstory, talking about what it is that, makes you and your advisory firm so different and everything. It was really a treat and a joy to have you on today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, Enrichers, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.